This new development changes everything for the 49ers following a major upset victory versus the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card round. The 49ers put up a great performance, but also suffered a major injury that could be challenging to deal with for the rest of the playoffs. But for now, it's on to Seattle for the divisional round. And we're going to break that all down for you on this episode of Niners Digest. My name is Ethan Galbraith. Thank you so much for watching, especially now because we are in the middle of the NFL playoffs and the Niners are still dancing. We're going to talk about the upset win in Philly as well as the major injury the Niners sustained that I think could prove to be a big challenge going forward the rest of the way. But before we get into all of those updates, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. When you download Kalshi using the link below and use code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $20 after trading your first 100. Now, Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on the platform, you can trade yes or no on real-world events, of course, including sports. And whether you're in California, New York, Texas, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. And for sports fans, this means you can trade yes or no on player performances, game outcomes, playoff chances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Thinking of the Niners specifically, they got to go play Seattle in the divisional round. If you think the Niners can go and get another upset win, this time against the number one seed, you can trade yes or no on that as well. What about the race for the NFC Championship? The Niners are far from the front runners here, but if you think they can keep going on a run and win the entire NFC, you can trade yes or no on that as well. Make sure to get your free $20 when you use code DIGESTNFL after downloading Kalshi using the link below. Thank you again, of course, to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. 23-19. No, that's not a Monsters, Inc. reference. That is the final score of the 49ers game in Philly. The Niners go into the link and knock off the defending Super Bowl champions. What a performance. What a gutsy performance. All week leading up to this, the conversation, including from me, has been about all of the injuries the Niners are going to have to walk into this game with, especially on the defensive side of the football. Eric Kendricks was huge in this game. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but when he got signed, I gave a heads up saying he's probably going to play important reps for the Niners. And wouldn't you believe that Eric Kendricks is the one who made the final game-winning play in the fourth quarter. So it was an amazing game. Back and forth both teams went. The game profiled a little about as expected. I think the Niners' run game still didn't get off to the best performance that I think people would have hoped for, especially with Trent Williams returning. And this is what we got right here. So Brock Purdy overall played a solid game. He threw for 262, had 2 nice touchdowns, did throw 2 interceptions, but overall played a great game, a solid game, I should say, and only got sacked 1 time. I think that's a huge indicator of the good performance from this offensive line, and I think that shows the difference with Trent Williams being back in the lineup. That's a huge accomplishment, especially against an Eagles defensive line and front 7 that has been balling out this season. The run game was not that great, obviously. Christian McCaffrey just got over 3 yards a carry. The Niners as a whole only got 3 yards a carry. One thing that I didn't really, not necessarily I didn't like it because I trust the game plan and the Niners won, but Brian Robinson didn't get a carry in this game. And I just don't think that's really maybe the best way to go about it, especially going forward with a team against Seattle where they know you pretty well. I think Brian Robinson Jr. should probably get utilized a little bit more going forward, but that obviously didn't prove to be a reason why the Niners lost the game. But the Niners won this game because the star players, with all the star players hurt, or a lot of star players hurt, it was the other guys, the next man up that stepped up. And today, this wild card game victory will be known as the Demarcus Robinson game. Demarcus Robinson has been kind of in the background of the wide receiver room this whole season. He started off this season suspended, was kind of an under-the-radar free agency pickup, and boy, he played lights out football this game. It was from the jump. He had the 2 great catches on the first drive, ending in the touchdown he had this game. He played amazing. 6 catches for 111 yards, easily his best performance of the season, and it came at the perfect time because Brock Purdy more or less was dealing throughout the game. Here's, of course, the picture of his touchdown, and that first drive that ended in the Robinson touchdown was such an important first punch that the Niners had to land. They had to have it, and they got it. Of course, they ended up playing from behind a little bit, and then the Jawan Jennings passing touchdown. If I had $1 for every touchdown Jawan Jennings has thrown in the playoffs, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but kind of weird that I got $2. And this one was obviously huge in this game as well, culminating, of course, with the Brock Purdy final touchdown to Christian McCaffrey. But it was the offense, despite the 2 turnovers from Purdy, they played a pretty solid game, considering that the Niners had to go up against a really good Philadelphia Eagles defense talent-wise. Quinyon Mitchell has been playing he's been a great corner all season, and Demarcus Robinson torched him on that first drive. So it was a really great performance. It was gutsy. It was gritty. They did what they needed to do, especially because the Niners suffered a really bad injury. There's no other way to say it. George Kittle tore his Achilles. And that is just a phrase that nobody wants to hear. Nobody wants to hear that about anybody, but especially about George Kittle. He is the heart and soul of this Niners offense. I would put him right there with Fred Warner in terms of the heart and soul of this team. And he tore his Achilles. It was a pretty nasty play. It wasn't, an intentional play or anything targeting, but it just was a really unfortunate moment. And for that to happen and the Niners to still come back and win this game just shows how gutsy this team is. The Niners refuse to go away. And I love that as a supporter of this team. The fans should love that. Opposing teams should hate that. This team just does not go away. And with Kittle's injury, he posted a message today reflecting on the injury. And obviously it's a really horrible thing to go through. Of course, at this point in his career as well, he's not going anywhere, but he's going to be gone for some time. An Achilles injury really takes a long period of time to come back from. And who knows what Kittle will look like once he comes back from injury. But for now, this is what we know. The Niners, if they want to keep marching through the playoffs, the road is probably only going to get tougher, especially now this coming week. You're going to play the Seahawks on a short week in Seattle. And now you're going to be without arguably the best tight end in franchise history and the top tight end of all time. So it doesn't get any easier. But, the Niners nothing's been easy this season. So it's not going to be something that obviously they planned for, which is kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning. Yes, the Niners have solid tight end substitutes. Jake Tonjes has already had a legacy game versus the Bears. Luke Farrell has shown flashes here and there throughout the season. I'm not questioning the ability to produce at the tight end position. What I'm nervous about is not having George Kittle there. The one silver lining about Fred Warner's injury was that, yes, he was gone for some time, but he was there. He was still in the building. And for right now, Kittle can't even do that because he just tore his Achilles. So, and much less, you can't have him on the field, of course. So, not having him out there running with the offense is a really big hit. But the Niners have not done anything easy at all this season. So, why can't they just keep going now? And what better obstacle than for them to keep going through than this one? My final thoughts are this. We're going to talk about this later in the rest of the week, of course, because this is a huge game. But my final thoughts are this. The Niners pulled off the most important win of the season. It keeps getting better and better. This win in Philly was the most important win of the season and one of the biggest postseason wins in this franchise's storied playoff history. And now they have a chance to add to that storied history on a short week without another star player gone for the season. The Niners have not had anything easy this season, and yet they just keep winning. They just won't go away. So we're going to talk more about this Niners-Seahawks game later in the week, but for now, what a game. This automatically makes this, in my opinion, the Eagles win a successful season. Of course, you got to compete for the Super Bowl, but with all things considered, winning that game in Philadelphia was so crucial for the morale of this team. Yes, George Kittle got hurt, but it's so huge for the morale of this team because now you go into the link and beat the defending champs. I'm thinking, if I'm them, I'm thinking I can go into Seattle and beat the 49 and beat the Seahawks. Not the 49ers can beat the Seahawks, but it's going to be a great game, but we'll talk more about that later in the week. But for now, that's all for this episode of Niners Digest. Thank you again so much for watching. My name is Ethan Galbraith, and we will see you in the next video.